What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Pop there, aka the Brand Man. Today we are back with what is hopefully the finale of this touching tale between Amber and Tristan, the pedo lovers. Let's dive right in. From that strange night on, in a paroxysm of lies, Amber got Tristan to agree to become a more or less official couple. Thus, she demanded an engagement ring and did not hesitate to walk the streets locked to his arm. Soon it wasn't enough for her anymore. Eager, voracious even, she couldn't merely settle for the girlfriend status. She needed more. She needed to surpass the woman who preceded her, her invisible rival whose shadow was always looming into a Damocles sword. So she dragged Tristan to wedding shops while dreaming of a perfect ceremony of her big day. The magazines, the advertisements, the television, the whole world was yelling at her. That was what happiness was. So wasn't it only natural for her to embrace it to the fullest? Wasn't it every girl's little dream? Marriage was promised and sold like a real-life fairy tale application. There was only a very expensive, beautiful dress, a princess's dress. The bride had to be the story's heroine, and everyone only had eyes for her. And then she would have at her service all the cosmetic and superficial accessories in which the stars constantly bathed. Famous singers all lived in some sort of permanent wedding, a strange and unlike fantasy. Amber, too, wanted to taste this heaven the world was constantly singing the praises of. So she pushed Tristan to please her. He proposed to her, and both of them organized a ceremony with great pomp. Oh my god, she is 12! Holy shit, what the fuck is this? I'm scared. On that day, Amber still felt so frail, seemed to shine more brightly than ever. On that day, Amber thought she had finally erased all traces of her rival, but it still wasn't enough. The life she was living didn't seem perfect enough just yet. She still needed something else to be entirely fulfilled. She wished to start a family. After all, the world had sold marriage to her as a never-ending fairy tale, but she still needed a goal to keep on living. And it was said that her biological role, her natural role, was, of course, to procreate. True women should obviously yearn to become mothers, an unchanging law that was probably written somewhere in a fragment of DNA code. A true woman had the duty of having a child, preferably a girl, so that she could educate her with the same moral codes she had received. Her living doll to play with, brush her hair, play tea with. Remind you, she can't educate shit because she dropped out in the 4th grade. You ought to busy yourself with something, fill your existence, or access some kind of eternal fantasy, one or the other. A desire, a project as a couple, or just an implicit order that came deep within your entrails. Amber had read and seen everywhere that those who didn't want kids were automatically unhappy without realizing it, immature, almost disabled by selfishness or neurosis. True love should bear fruits, just like the princess could only be revealed as such by a prince. That's where Cinderella's myth lay. Amber didn't know it yet, but the clock had started ticking long ago, and it was dangerously approaching its final moment. Tristan Mallory took rather coldly the eagerness of the young girl to procreate. He did his best to clumsily claim that they had more than enough time, that they would see that later, that he was ready to wait, but she kept insisting more and more. If you give a mouse a cookie, am I right? Months went by, and the young girl never got tired of reciting all the things she intended to do with that providential baby, describing from A to Z how she would dispense their education, the accessories that would be necessary. Her biggest wish was to give birth to a little girl she could gussy up as much as she wanted. She was sighing while imagining how she would shower her with gifts, how she would go shopping with her and evolve into a kind of cool and friendly big sister like mother, because she's 13. Scolding, she was way too afraid that her future child would hate her to even think of it. Her angel had to love her. It was obvious she would be a good mother, and everything would go perfectly in the best of all worlds. Amber spared no argument to convince Tristan. Motherhood became in turn the realization of a little girl's dream, the logical and infallible consequence of a lasting relationship, the greatest proof of love that could ever be, a way to confirm to the norm. Months slowly, dreadfully, went by to the rhythm of Amber's growing obsession. She was always eagerly awaiting a sign, watching out her body for the indication of a good news. Try after try, she repeated that this time would be the one. However, she had to face the fact that something was wrong, that something wasn't working. She might well desperately attempt her hardest, but she still wasn't pregnant. A shower of doubt started pouring down on her mind. Tristan tried to minimize the problem, assured her that it wasn't a big deal, that it would happen someday, and that they had so many things to do together, but Amber wasn't listening anymore. She absolutely wanted to go see a doctor and to get her body checked up, to understand the problem and fix it. She wasn't going to give up so close to her goal. Her partner avoided the subject as much as possible, appeared distant, and refused any medical checkup. Every time the young girl approached him to talk, he gritted his teeth, feeling that the situation was becoming more and more tense. She was getting too close to the truth, and he couldn't afford it. There were too many things at stake. I bet he's sterile, and that's why his wife left him. I bet it. We'll soon find out. So he held on. He tried all he could to reassure his love, to convince her to get rid of those unwanted thoughts. But Tristan, shoulders yielding under the weight of his burden, was too tired to anticipate Amber's every move. He didn't see the disaster coming, even though he could have foreseen it. One day while he was at work, she took the opportunity to go to a doctor who resided in the city center hospital. She explained the situation and begged for him to help her bear children. He gave a long sigh while staring at her from head to toe, and in an unctuous voice, he kindly whispered to her, "You know, there's no need to try that hard. You'll only hurt yourself further. Don't bury your head in the sand. You're very well aware of your sterility, aren't you?" Oh, shit, Doc. You just laid it on her. "It's not the end of the world, you know. There are assisted procreation techniques that work very well nowadays, like in vitro fertilization, for example. Why don't you try to think about it?" The young doctor had tried to be as positive and comforting as he could, but the harm had already been done. Amber was in shock. Her dreams had just crumbled to pieces in an ocean of dust and litter. She left the hospital completely distraught, speechless, stiff, moving as mechanically as a robot. She heard nothing of the last kind words the doctor pronounced. All she knew was that she had to go home. Once outside, the sky's blinding gray light made her lose her bearings. She was in the city where she had always lived, yet the buildings, the cars, the people passing by, they had all turned out ghostly and haggard silhouettes in a dark, upside-down world. Her sight became blurred little by little as she staggered aimlessly. The city crumbled into a gigantic pile of ashes. The voices of pedestrians around her corrupted into an inaudible language, metallic and meaningless. Amber managed to reach the park. Instinctively, not really knowing how, a terrifying dread was seizing her from inside, unable to see, unable to understand anymore. She let herself fall into the grass, pupils wide open. All of a sudden, the gray filtered images of her past came back to her, and reality brutally hit her in the stomach.
It's impossible. Why me? Even though I am normal. I'm not trash now. It's impossible. My dream. I wanted to be happy.
She remembered the mirror, the crude light above the mirror that showed all of her flaws, all of her imperfections, the excruciating need to be perfect, to be flawless like the models, the actors, the singers that run every screen that we're constantly seen. To be seen, to be admired, to have every corner of yourself analyzed. Never relax, be irreproachable, take care of everything, hide everything, keep everything deep inside, even if the fragile surface is going to crack under the weights of lies. The mirror, in front of which you carefully put on makeup for long minutes, that miraculous product that could erase those damn imperfections, those damn traces of humanity. Shave her legs, not leaving a single hair, frame her brows, choose the best outfit possible to show herself to advantage, add a layer of makeup on her face to make the identity disappear in favor of a single form of beauty, a majestic beauty, an artificial beauty impossible to obtain. The mirror, in front of which she would weigh herself, in front of which she would tell herself that she should be careful of what she acts, become thinner, become more beautiful, more desirable, throw up the excess, keep only what's essential, admire yourself in front of the mirror. Okay, this is getting dark. Throw up that unwanted vital pulsation. Throw up what's dirty to become cleaner inside and outside. Destroy the dirtiness. Everything that is dirty become pure, immaculate, perfect. The mirror, the eyes of others, that permanent mirror of vanity, believing you exist, destroying yourself bit by bit, becoming unable to survive by yourself, to stand the growing loneliness, the pathetic struggle against your own being, mind almighty, against the body, forcing it into submission, forcing it to remodel itself to fit your every wish, forcing it to become your soul's one and only avatar, not being able to accept yourself anymore, the endless impetus after time, nature, a constant effort to kill yourself, to prevent yourself from existing, an ethereal body, fantasized a corpse's body. The mirror. The mirror is scrutinizing the depths of my heart. It knows everything. It sees everything. I can't escape it. I cannot escape. This is fucked up. This is fucked up. This is fucked up. Okay. Well, see you next time.